Hi, Steve Geary here from One Sightsolutions. Today what I'm going to do is we're going to run through a video and provide some information around the ossEasyAPI driver. How the video is going to be broken down is I'm initially going to give you a demonstration of how we've used the API driver to bring various different imports into a Niagara station that runs our office. This is the demo page at the moment, and then once I've run through all of those different demonstrations, I'm going to hand over to Tom, and Tom's going to give you an in-depth insight in how they're configured individually within the back end. So if I click through into it to start with, I'll start off on the left-hand side with energy. So we've just got an energy visualization here where we're just pulling a live information in from the national grid that shows the makeup of what the UK power is to date. And then we've just represented this, just giving you a breakdown of what each of those individual segments are. So moving along, if I go across to Transport for London, we're able to take data from a number of various APIs within Transport for London. And if I start top left, we've got here what the live status is of the tubes. And as you can see here, pretty much everything's running at a good service except for a planned closure on the Waterloo and City line. We'll come down to car parks. We actually put this page together when we were doing an exhibition in London near Waterloo, and this just gives you a flavour of what parking spaces are available in car parks local to that particular area. All of this information is available from Transport for London. You basically pick the area that you're interested in, and then it will pull up a number of locations relative to that location. Now I'll come across to cycles. This is the Santander bikes. Again, showing you what bikes are available and what spaces are available. Once we pull that information in, we then just visualize it how we want to visualize that information. And then finally in here, we've got the departures from London Waterloo. And as you can see, these are the live departures for today from London Waterloo. So what other information might we want to pull in from an API? What we've actually got here is we've gone to the BBC website, and we've got to scrape some of the data off of the BBC website and then visualize that as well. So maybe you want to be having a green screen within a reception area that isn't just around your controls information. It's maybe giving information that's you're sharing with visitors and staff within that building. And then we've gone to a dark sky weather service and got pulled in the forecasting information. And as you can see here, we've got the current weather and then what we've got expected through the rest of the week. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to air quality. Within our office, we've got a number of different sensors that are picking up air quality points. Basically, the air quality meter will collect the data. It then sends that data via MQTT to a cloud solution, and then we go and pull that from that cloud solution via an API and bring that back into Niagara. So although we're showing it here as an air quality sensor, this could also relate to any other type of data that you might be sending to a cloud solution that you want to then go and pull back into your Niagara head end. So as we can see here, we're picking up a number of different particulates and values from that particular sensor point. And then these are then shown here within these little green tiles. We've actually got it set that if I was to take CO2 here, for instance, we've got it set that if it exceeds 800 parts per million, then that will then go amber and so forth. So hopefully that gives you a good overview of how we've utilized the ossEasyAPI driver and pulled that information in and just visualized it within a head end. What I'm going to do now, as I said earlier on, is I'm going to pass this over to Tom, and Tom can show you how the back end works. Thank you.
Howdy everyone, Tom here from One Sightsolutions. Thanks to Steve earlier for giving you a quick overview of what we've done with ossEasyAPI. I just wanted to mention that those are a very small specific set of integrations we've done with ossEasyAPI, just to show for demonstration, sales purposes, and it actually forms a live system in our office as well. But please realise that you are not limited to those specific demonstrations that we've done earlier. ossEasyAPI was designed to serve as a general integration tool for a cross-section of APIs, web APIs, REST APIs, HTTP APIs, whatever you want to call them, as a single flexible Niagara component. So what I'd like to say is where a destination system specifies that it has a HTTP web RESTful API, I would like to be able to say that ossEasyAPI stands a good chance of letting you exchange data with it. Obviously, I can't sit here and say it can definitely let you do everything. But what I can say is it has been designed to be as flexible as possible for interacting with general purpose HTTP web APIs. And so far, I don't believe we have come across a standard HTTP based API that we haven't been able to communicate with. So let's take a quick look at what ossEasyAPI looks like in a Niagara environment. I know Steve said earlier that he's going to hand off to me and I'm going to do a technical deep dive. I'm not really going to do a technical deep dive at this point. I'm going to give you a general overview of what ossEasyAPI looks and feels like to deal with in a Niagara environment, so you can know what to expect when you install it. What we will do is follow this video up with a series of short, specific and technical guides, instructional videos, how-tos that cover, say, the actions you'd go through when dealing with a new API, or taking a look at some of the actual technical steps involved in forming those integrations using ossEasyAPI that Steve demonstrated earlier. So ossEasyAPI ships as a standard Niagara jar module. You drop it into your modules directory on a supervisor, for example, and open it up in your palette, and you will see this. Currently, as of the time I'm recording this, the ossEasyAPI module contains one component. That component is draggable onto the wire sheet or under your tree folder structure. And it's important to realise that the concept here is that one instance of ossEasyAPI is one HTTP request. So let's say you've got a typical public-facing API, like from the likes of Twitter or the BBC. You're going to have one request that might handle the authentication. You might then have another request that lists out all of the elements, all of the latest news articles, etc., or regions, something like that. And you might then have another request, which is you honing in on the specific piece of information you want. That would require 3 instances of the ossEasyAPI component be dragged onto the wire sheet. And the cool thing is you then use standard Niagara linking and link marking to link your ossEasyAPI or HTTP requests together to form the whole HTTP conversation. So let me show you now some of the integrations that we've done already, that Steve demoed some of these earlier, showed you the end result, what they look like in terms of Niagara graphics from the web front end. This is actually what they look like in the Niagara environment. Now we'll start with TFL and we'll look at the London Underground, so the tube status. So this here, London Underground, is an instance of the ossEasyAPI component. If we were to take a look at that, you'll see here that we've got the URL of the London Underground API, and we have our API endpoint there that goes in this box. Now that would typically that will go at the end of the URL if you're interacting, say, in a browser or something like that, but programmatically here the endpoint is handled separately to the root URL. You have a request type, a data type, we've got a few in there, automatic update period. You can get your response code, so if you're going to be playing or dealing with HTTP and APIs, Just get yourself familiar with error codes and response codes, 200 being okay. And what this block will actually do, and in this case it is a single request because it looks like there is no authentication against this API because it's just publicly available information anyway, is this will fetch the data at this endpoint using a standard GET. We've told it the type that it's expecting back is JSON, and it will then automatically pass the JSON that it receives and generate you a point folder structure underneath the instance of that component. So as you can see here, it's generated a master folder. Underneath the master folder are index locations, which actually refer to a point in the JSON array in the JSON document that's been received from the API server. And you see here it actually creates folders for each indentation or each depth in the array that comes back. For anyone doing this, it is worth familiarizing yourself with what a JSON document looks like, and you will see if you compared the raw JSON to this, it looks like an indented structure, and that's called the JSON array. And the representation we have here is the same, just in a Niagara point structure format. So if we expose some of these again, see we've got the district line there. You have the circle line there, and so on and so forth. So I think this is a very simple example because this API requires no authentication. We're simply connecting to api.tfl.gov.uk. We've told it what piece of information we are interested in the API endpoint. All of this information should be available in the API docs of whatever API you're trying to connect to. TFL's got a well-documented API, and all the information you need to be able to construct your communication, you construct your interaction with that server, should be contained in the API docs. What we've aimed to do here with ossEasyAPI is make a HTTP API interaction through Niagara possible and available to standard engineers, people with a standard Tritium skill set. It doesn't require you to go under the hood and be a software developer anymore. But saying that, you do need to be aware of what you're actually doing, so you know roughly what to expect. You're dealing with JSON over HTTP. You should be aware, for example, that that's a URL. What an endpoint is. It helps if you're familiar with HTTP commands and different data types. This is the raw out string that's coming back from that API server in here. And this is the automatically passed version. What this actually allows us to do, if we look at the line statuses, we can then link to this slot or link from this slot, and that's how we would build the web graphic that Steve showed you earlier with the tube status information. We would link from the good service slots here and place that on a nice web front end for the selected line. It just brings in that data from that API, passes it and makes it available to you in a Niagara friendly and unified format that you'll be familiar with dealing with. Let's take a quick look at another one. So we've got the weather for Yateley here. So here's is an example of using the dark sky weather API. It actually looks here that our API token might be passed in the endpoint rather than in the headers or body. But if we go down, take a look. Again, we have our master folder, which has passed all of the received JSON and broken it out into the forecast information that we've asked for, i.e. daily, hourly, minutely. And you can actually see, if you take a look at this one, that the way dark sky accepts the location that you want the weather for looks like a long latitude, longitude in the actual endpoint, so in the URL. Like I say, when you're interacting with whatever API you're interacting with, vitally important you study their API docs, because they will tell you how you authenticate with them and how you exchange information and how you need to structure your approach. You can't apply a one-size-fits-all method to this. What we're providing here in ossEasyAPI is one single product that's flexible enough to allow you to integrate or interface with a broad cross-section or majority of HTTP-based APIs. In doing that, we can't make anything specific. We have to provide the flexibility for you to construct, study API docs, and handle it yourself. Let's take a look at another one, shall we? So this looks like our Yahoo air quality system. Okay, right, this one does things a little bit differently. It expects the authentication details to be posted to it in the body property. So you can see you've got the root URL there, you've got the endpoint there, which is /v1/getLatestData. It wants you to post at the API, and it wants you to post a JSON array that contains the username, password in a specific format, and the serial number of the specific sensor that exists on our account. What you'll then get back is a series of readings for each of the items that are on that sensor. So you can see there we've got NO2, TVOC, temperature, relative humidity, PM 2.5, etc., etc. They would have come back in a simple JSON array, and this has passed them, made them available as points underneath our master folder, which you can then link from and include in any other Niagara Logic software, graphics, you name it. We have the national grid here as well. And what we're showing here is the mix of power generation. So this is coming from the carbon intensity API. There's no authentication going on here. Again, public API. It's a standard get of JSON type, and coming back we have all of our statistics, array indexes, 6.9% biomass, 1.1% coal, 5.9 is imported, 47.4 gas, and so on and so forth. And again, these are available as standard Niagara points and slots that you'll be familiar with, and you can link using other Niagara Logic. So I think I've probably given you a general feel for what ossEasyAPI looks like within Niagara. It's got a fair amount of potential, I have to say. The best way to approach a project where you might want to interact with an API is give us a call. We can arrange for a demonstration copy, time limited, usually a couple of weeks or a week. Make sure you have access to the API documents of the system that you need to interact with, and then that'll allow you to piece together your integration using our ossEasyAPI product. So just again a recap. OSS Easy API, the component in Niagara, represents a single HTTP request. That request might be a post, it might be a put, might be a get. It then serves you the ability to construct each of those requests how you need to, according to the API documentation. And you can chain those together with standard Niagara linking to perform a full HTTP conversation if you need to do things in more than one request. So that's it from me this time, guys. I hope this has given you an insight into what we feel is a fantastically versatile and exciting product. I will drop a little hint at this point and say we are just on the cusp of a new release of Easy API, and we're going to be including some exciting new out-of-box functionality that makes integrating specific public and common or should we say popular APIs more of a drag and drop exercise and constructing a request yourself. So just wanted to drop that in there as a little hint. I'm quite excited about releasing that, but I hope this has opened some people's minds into just how much information you can actually get in and out of the Niagara environment now. And we're open to the language of the modern web, shall we say, talking JSON using HTTP APIs, web APIs, REST APIs, whatever you want to call them, and that enables us to be a player in the bigger Internet of Things revolution. So thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe, and importantly, stay tuned because we're going to follow up with extra videos that go into the technical details of some of these integrations that you've seen today. Thank you.